Well, I guess you could say that this movie really kills. Hello once again, watchers of good movies. My name is Nick Pell, and this is once again coming from my apartment. Now today we are going to be talking about the film Batman, The Killing Joke. Now this is a film which I have been very much anticipating for quite some time, ever since it was announced. Ever since it was announced that this was going to be a rated R animated Batman movie. Now given I haven't really seen a lot of the animated Batman films, I just have never really gotten around to seeing them. But I was very interested in this one because I knew generally what this story was about. It involved Barbara Gordon to a large extent, but didn't really know much more beyond that. And this film is split into two different parts, essentially. The first part deals with this group of gangsters who are trying to overtake their uncle and build their own empire, and Batman and Barbara Gordon have to stop them. And then the second part deals much more heavily with the Joker and the Killing Joke, the main thing that we really want to see in this movie. And the first part leads into the second part, so it is necessary, but it did feel like kind of a side story, kind of much more setup than anything else. In regards to voice actors, they all do fantastic work. We have Kevin Conroy back again as Bruce Wayne / Batman. He does fantastic work. He is the main voice that I know Batman from, or as nowadays, mainly because of the Arkham games that I played, but also just because of everything else that I've seen. He is the main voice of Batman. He is Batman, essentially. And then we also have Mark Hamill reprising his role as the Joker, again, from the Arkham games and the animated series. He is just the best Joker voice that I have ever heard, and he is the most well-known one. And there's a cool little 5 to 10 minute documentary before the movie actually started playing where you saw Mark Hamill kind of recounting his career. He started him off as Luke Skywalker, and then he just kind of slowly showed his progression as the Joker and just kind of how he got into the role and how he developed the character. And it was just a really cool thing to see in regards to just this guy who's so infamous for this role nowadays, and in regards to both Luke Skywalker and the Joker, and just the two total polar opposite characters and how he can kind of harness both of these people. We also have Tara Strong as Batgirl / Barbara Gordon. I also thought she did a very good job. All the voice actors, very good work in this movie. I had no real issues with any of that aspect of the film. Animation also looks fantastic. I don't, again, really have anything to compare this to in regards to animation. It's kind of tough for me to judge that type of stuff unless there's like immense flaws that I somehow noticed. But I thought all the animation just looked fantastic. This is adapted from the graphic novel. I believe the graphic novel is actually quite old to a degree. And so just bringing it up to kind of modern animated features, it was kind of a cool thing to see, because there's kind of a documentary after the movie as well where they showed kind of how they made the movie, and they showed parts of the graphic novel put side by side with clips from the film, and it's just kind of a neat thing to see translate into film. One thing that I really did appreciate seeing is the Barbara Gordon / Batgirl relationship with Batman, because this film starts out 3 years into her role as his apprentice, essentially. She has been working with him for 3 years as Batgirl. She knows her stuff, and yet he still sees her not as an equal, and it makes sense. He is the master detective, and she is generally just his sidekick, and so she gets very frustrated with that when he decides to take her off of a case because it's getting too personal, and things begin to develop as a result of that. And it's just a neat thing to see that relationship happen and just transgress on screen. I was really interested to see where they ended up going with that, and it went in a very interesting place, which I didn't really expect it to go to, but it also did a very good setup for the second half of this film as a result. Another relationship which you just need to discuss with this movie is Batman and Joker, because it starts out kind of with Batman really wanting to just sit down and talk to this guy. It's like, we are in this war, this ongoing war, where one of us is eventually going to die. One of us is going to kill the other. I don't want to reach that point. I want to try to just make peace to some degree before we have to get to that inevitable conclusion. And it's just a really interesting thing to witness with Batman, because it's very much just kind of, at least from what I've seen, which is very, very little, he's very much just like, take down the bad guys, put them away. And it's just really interesting commentary that Joker makes to an extent in regards to the origin of madness, to kind of what makes someone mad. If it's worth putting him back in Arkham Asylum, if he doesn't really want to go there, if nothing's going to help him change as a person as a result of that. And it's just a really interesting dynamic that they form, especially in the very last scene. I loved this last scene because it just made my head just go every different direction in regards to what the ending could have meant. And I won't get into it here. If you want to know my thoughts on it, just comment below and I will go into it a little bit more. But the ending to this film, it's very sudden when the film finally ends, but it is very, very interesting. It really speaks volumes to what really is madness and how one controls it to an extent. This film also dives into the origins of Joker, at least the most well-known one. Essentially, he was a failing comedian, decides to pull one crime for his wife and to be born child, and he dons the Red Hood, falls into a vat of acid or something, and becomes the Joker as a result, and goes mad when he sees his reflection in water. And so that was probably the weakest part of the film. I felt like it was the most distracting part of it, just because I just kind of wanted to continue with the main story, and I didn't really need to see this plot line unfold, because I had the general idea of where this was going to go. It didn't really do anything terribly new, and I was just kind of bored while I was watching those scenes. The only other thing that I kind of got annoyed with throughout the film is the over-sexualization of Barbara Gordon. And as a guy, I appreciate it, because I'm a guy. Barbara Gordon is a very attractive person, and I liked it to that extent. But as a film, I felt that it focused so much on her as a sexual person, in regards to just the shots that it chose to use, and also just things which occurred throughout the film. Like, there are some things which are necessary, and there's a thing towards the end of the film which it seemed to be kind of trying to lead into and kind of build up with how many shots they used and how sexualized they made her. But it just seemed like an overabundance to me. To just by the end of the film, it's just like, okay, we get it. She's attractive. Any dude would probably bang her, but it's just like, you don't need to just show it consistently and just with a bunch of these shots. So that's just one thing which kind of annoyed me as the film kept going, and I kind of wish they would have kind of dealt with a little bit less. Maybe it's in the graphic novel. I have never read the graphic novel. I kind of want to now, just to see how close an adaptation this was to that original volume, but it was just something which kind of annoyed me throughout the film. But guys, I felt like overall, Batman the Killing Joke, fantastic movie. I really, really enjoyed it. It's about an hour and a half long, give or take, and I want to go back and watch this thing right now a second time. And I'll be buying this thing on Blu-ray day one it comes out, and I'll probably watch it day one when it is out. Just because it adds so much complexity to both Batman and Joker and Batgirl to an extent, that I just really wanted to go back and experience this film as quickly as possible, and it just captivated me. And so, guys, Batman the Killing Joke, if you have the opportunity to see this in theaters, I think it is in theaters for one more night tomorrow, or Tuesday the 26th, I think, of July. So if you have the opportunity to see this thing, definitely check it out. It's well worth your time. It'll also be on iTunes, I think, now, and it'll be on Blu-ray very shortly. So check this thing out when you have the opportunity. It's really, really good, and I really enjoyed it. But guys, those are my thoughts on Batman the Killing Joke. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you like it as much as I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Let me know. Like, fair, comment, and subscribe once again if you so choose. I appreciate it immensely. And as always, people, my name is Nick Pell, and once again, keep on watching.